a very stormy weekend where every match had at least 4 goals, except you Spurs and Everton, and a bundle of braces. It will make sense, I promise. Let's get into it. I'm Rachel.
I'm Sophie.
And this is Extra Time with Girls on the Ball. We're back. Welcome to the show. Happy Monday. We've got a windy weekend of football to chat through. Yes, we can see the branding, Sophie, for those of you on YouTube. Sophie's extra long slurp of her hot chocolate.
I was blowing on it.
Oh, were you? Sorry.
I'm trying, it's too hot.
Desperately trying to show off her Extra Time with Girls on the Ball mugs. There you go. For those of you listening, just imagine it. Just imagine it. She's been silly. As I was trying to say in my lovely intro, we have a windy weekend of football to chat through, as well as the upcoming Champions League fixtures, of course, to discuss. But first, this is your weekly reminder to subscribe wherever you're watching or wherever you listen to your podcasts so you do not miss an episode this season. Right, as always...
Do you want to just explain why we've been away a couple of weeks? It's my fault.
Okay, so then you can explain why we've been away a couple of weeks.
We did. You had to be my nurse.
We did give them the Emma Hayes one, so it was more the previous Mondays. Yes, Sophie.
I've had a rough time.
Right, Rachel explain it, and then Sophie talks over me.
I just say I had a rough time with it.
Sophie had a terribly bad cold/flu, and then had a problem with her eye. Basically left a contact lens in overnight, and it caused all sorts of issues, and she had to go to the IA&E.
Say it a little better than I do.
A Val nightmare. And yeah, struggled to kind of see out of your eye for 3 or 4 days, which included a Monday. And I thought it would be a bit too much for her to make her go on camera. You struggled to really focus at all. You weren't in the best shape, were you?
I was very, very miserable. So I'm much better now. I'm much more joyful now. But I was
She's
very
so
miserable.
joyful.
I had a makeshift patch for a while. I had some sunglasses for a while. And now I can see again. So it's all good.
She came to Ireland, wore a patch in the house, and then wore a pair of sunglasses for the night game. So, yes, God love her. But that is why we didn't have one last week, because I think it would have been a little bit unfair to have put her in front of the camera the way she was. And then you were sick the week before. So hopefully, touch wood, all going well in the lead up to Christmas. Yeah, you'll be all right. Okay, as always, we are going to run through the weekend's results in the WSL. No championship this weekend, as they were on FA Cup duty, and given its third round, there's about 900 games. So I'm not actually going to read through all of those results. Sophie, you're then going to pick out a player you would like to highlight, and then maybe a passage of play or a formation or a tweak or something that a manager did that also stood out to you this week. And then you will also talk our listeners through our team of the week. And I think your laptop may have just died, so that's going to be really fun to see how you manage that. And then we will have a quick look ahead to the Champions League fixtures coming up and any other business. Right, let's crack on. In the Barclays WSL, the results are as follows. Manchester United 4, Liverpool 0. Turland, Galton, Janssen and Mallard with the goals. Man City 4, Leicester 0. Shaw twice, of course. Park and Fowler with the goals. Tottenham 2, Everton 1. England with the brace and Sarah Holmgard. Arsenal 4, Aston Villa 0. Russo with the brace, Mead and Blackstenius. Then Chelsea 4, Brighton 2, Nuska with the brace, Beaver Jones, JRK, Jankovic and Seika with the goals there. And then West Ham 5, Crystal Palace 2, Gale, Riley, Asai, Pubel, Pavi, Denton and Gorey with all the goals. Okay, just give me a minute.
I'm so glad I don't have to do that.
There's so much. Wow. A goal fest of a weekend, absolutely. And my God, did the weather definitely play a factor in a lot of these games. After that weekend of action, Chelsea remain on top outright on 27 points, 5 points ahead of Manchester City, who are on 22. Arsenal are now sitting in third on 18 points, and United are behind them in fourth. The same number of points, but an inferior goal difference. Brighton have slipped down to fifth, and then down the bottom of the table, it remains very congested. Palace are propping it up on 5 points. Leicester are above on 5 points, but better goal difference. And then Everton and Villa are in 10th and 9th, respectively, on 6 points. So quite the relegation battle at the moment. And West Ham have sort of dragged themselves out of it somewhat. They're now in 8th on 8 points. So plenty going on down the bottom half of the table. So very exciting. There's no out and out relegation team coming into this break, which is good, which is what we like to see. There's like 4, if not 5 teams that could potentially get relegation this season. So
I think there's 5 points separating 6th and bottom.
Crazy.
So that's mad.
Crazy. Right, we're going to do 3 key takeaways from each of these fixtures. Okay. I don't know how short that will actually be, but we shall see. I've written them down, but how long you go on them, we shall see. We normally start with the games we've gone to, but we're going to start in order. So we'll start with Manchester United, Liverpool. So, pardon the pun, but United did weather an early storm. I thought...
You were desperate to get that in.
I actually, do you know what? I wrote that down, and only looking at it now, I was like, that is a really good pun to put in. I didn't even mean to. Weathered an early storm for Liverpool. Liverpool good in the first 20 odd minutes or so.
They were. They came out really well. They just really lacked in that final third, but I thought they pressed United well. They controlled the ball pretty well. Taylor Hines had a brilliant game in the first 25 minutes or so. They were getting tackles in. They were, controlling the ball. Nagano and Holland in midfield as well. But then it just broke down as soon as it got into the final third. They just didn't have that outlet. They were playing Capox as a false nine-ish. So they didn't really have that kind of target person. Like when Sophie Rumenholger's kind of there, she's that target person. But even when you think about, like, you could play probably Mia Enderby as a striker or Leanne Kinnan. But they were, so that he went with Capox, and I'm not sure it quite worked because I think it just all broke down a little bit too much. They did have the first couple of proper chances in the game, but I think it was those two quick foul goals.
Yes, so United scored in like maybe the 32nd and 33rd and 34th minute, I think it was, to 1-2 punch type vibe, knocked the wind out of them.
Before they knew it, it was basically all over almost, because it just was a sucker punch.
Yeah, so
especially at that time of the match.
Yeah, the second point I was going to make was the Liverpool injuries, and I do think we knew coming into it was going to be difficult for them. I think Matt Beard said they were missing 7, but I think when you then go down 2-0 in quick succession, that's when you really see the depth, and you need some fresh legs in the second half to try and get you back into it, and it just didn't happen for Liverpool, and United looked dominant from that kind of point onwards.
I don't think enough has been made of Liverpool's injury issues. I think because we look at the likes for like Leicester and Everton and go, and because of especially for Everton, the crisis around the club in terms of money and all of that stuff. But actually for Matt Beard, he's got a very, very, very thin squad in terms of, like, Rachel Laws was sitting out yesterday. So Tegan Micah had to come in, but early in the season it was vice versa. So they haven't had necessarily a third keeper. So many concussions in terms of, like, Gemma Evans sitting out.
Yeah.
Marie Herbinger, is out for 4 to 6 weeks. That's a massive blow in terms of their attacking play. So it's going to have a huge impact on them.
I think at one point Matt said that earlier on in the season they had 9 players out. So with a thin squad, it's always going to have an impact, especially when you're coming back off international break and coming up against Manchester United. Dominique Janssen got her first goal and player of the match, much deserved. So well done to her. A positive sign for Manchester United. It's always interesting, and I'll touch on this a bit more, but when you come back from international break, so they will be very pleased with how they did in that game. Manchester City then beat Leicester 4-0. 3 takeaways from that. Bunny Shaw doing Bunny Shaw things. Bunny Shaw brace. Incredible, and really early goal as well. And what I was going to touch on was, again, for Manchester City, of course, wanting to try and keep pace with Chelsea. I know they're 5 points behind, but coming back off the international break are the games that are always really interesting. So,
and also given that the last time out in the league they'd lost to Chelsea, so it was really important for themselves to get up and running, especially against a team like Leicester, who are not in the best of form at the moment, and Manchester City would be expected to win comfortably against. And the fact that they managed to get that over the line in the context of everything, of the last 2 weeks, and then that loss before the break, is really important. Yeah,
and especially with a couple of more Champions League games to go before the Christmas break. Always good to have a comfortable victory like that. And Leicester have been more difficult to break down. So again, getting the early goals would have massively helped.
They've registered 3 shots on target, which is 2 more than the last 2 games they've had, where they've registered 1 shot on target.
Leicester.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm talking about for Man City. Leicester have been difficult. Leicester have been difficult to break down for Man City.
Yeah.
But yes, I was actually going to say then the next point was Sophie's jumping ahead. Stop reading the notes. These are for me. Leicester injuries continue, and primarily in their number 9 position, which is where all of the injuries seem to be. Something Amandine Miguel spoke about pre-match, about how she has dealt with injuries through a squad before, but never primarily in one position. So everyone's kind of having a go. So the fact that they got 3 shots on target with the injury struggles that they're having,
it's an improvement. She was in quite a fun mood in pre-match, given all of the crises that she's having to deal with. She literally doesn't have a number 9, and her problem as well is that her wingers, while they can play a number 9, you look at someone like Hannah Kane just coming back off an ACL, she still needs to be managed. Deanne Rose still, I think, not quite. I know it was a longer time ago, but that Achilles injury, I don't think is. She's quite recovered to her full potential in that, and she's better on the wing. But it's, Shannon O'Brien as well, not been seen this season. She's still recovering from her injury. They have a lot of attacking talent, but it's all generally down the sides, and you're literally trying to put a square peg in round holes. And Takarada did it again in the number 9 yesterday, but she's traditionally a central midfielder. I think Miguel said that she liked her because of her press out of possession, so she gives them maybe more defensive stability, but is still not ideal because she is not going to be the target player that you aim for.
Especially against Manchester City, where you're not going to create a lot of chances. You need to be really clinical, and then having someone who's just not naturally in that position is going to be difficult.
So, I mean, to be honest, a 4-0 score is relatively... they've had a really good defence this season.
Yeah.
I did ask Almadine about that, and she did joke and say, well, ask me after the next 2 games because it might not look so rosy, but I don't think 4-0 is too bad as a score given the context of things.
Okay, sure. Moving on to the game that just did not want to produce 4 goals, Tottenham-Everton 2-1. My 3 key points, Tottenham are kind of back to normal of some sorts. Bethany England bagging goals and Brosnan perhaps keeping the scoreline down.
Yeah, Everton did threaten on the counter-attack. And I think that was more like Tottenham were a bit wasteful with the chances that they created, and they created quite a few, but they were wasteful with them. And then it just gave Everton hope that they could get back into the game. Brian Sorensen made a double change in the 37th minute, which is quite
interesting,
proactive to do. And I think he just saw things weren't going their way, and he thought he needed to do something instantly to try and get his team back into it before it got too dire. So he did that in the 37th minute, and they got the goal in the 40th minute or something. So I think that had the instant reaction. But for Everton, they were relying on opportunities when they came on the transition. And as you say, Courtney Brosnan, we all know what a class keeper she is, and she does at times keep that side in games, or closer in games than maybe they should have been. So Tottenham will be frustrated that they didn't get more goals, but all in all, getting a 3rd WSL win is huge for them. They're up to 6th.
And shout out to Sarah Holmgard. Wonderful goal from her. Well done.
She's having a great season.
Yeah,
I think she
really
flies
is
under the radar, but she's having a brilliant season.
Absolutely. 3 key takeaways from Arsenal, 4 Aston Villa 0. You were at this one.
I was.
I've got down, here's what I've said. Arsenal playing with freedom. Alessia Russo's form. Villa, what went wrong? Me, Sophie.
So Arsenal are playing with freedom. They look like they're having great fun out there. They're very, very confident at the moment. And you could see that by the way that they had a change of midfield in the sense that Leah Volti is injured. Well, she's out. She just had surgery on her abscess. And Kim Little was out, and I saw that was for precaution because she has 4 games in 12 days or something. So I picked up a niggle, and I think just precaution. But it meant that it was a rare start for Cara Cooney-Cross, who I think has been really unlucky this season because I think she started the season so well. And she is an absolute... She showed what she can do. I mean, Arsenal need to play her a bit more, I think, because they need to keep her because she's the future of this team. But yes, so I think given the changes to that midfield area, they coped really, really well with them. They just look so much more direct going forward. They don't do any of the... They do a bit of it, but like less of the kind of waiting to kind of pass it into the goal. They're much more direct. They're sending balls into the box. They're delivering well. They've got strikers and forwards and confidence. Beth Mead, Alessia Russo. They're both full of confidence at the moment. They look like they're having fun out there, and that makes all the difference, I think, under Renee Sleggers, who's there until the winter break.
That's AOB. Thanks. We'll get to that. Sorry. Stop spoiling the podcast, Sophie. What went wrong for Villa?
I think Robert DePauw was very keen to tell me post-match that they had even possession, which they did. It was 50% possession each.
That makes it worse that you lost 4-0.
But they really didn't do anything at all in either box. They struggled in defensive moments, and he said that. He said that in those moments they need to be switched on, and he's hoping that they're just moments rather than themes of a team. But it was just like critical points in the game where they just switched off, and I think they'll be frustrated about the headed goal for the first one. It was very looping. I think he probably thought they should react. The same with Beth Mead's goal at the far post. It was just like Arsenal were quicker to the ball, quicker to react. And that's where they fell down. I think in the second half, once the game gets away from you, they tried to come back. They had a couple of good chances, but they're stretched. They're looking for a goal, and then you're
exposed.
You send on Stina Blackstenius, and she's going to run through you. So that was I think for them, it's frustrating. They're at home for the next 2 games before the winter break. That's going to be key. I think they've got a big game against West Ham next weekend.
Yeah, I will be at that one. Right, 3 key takeaways from Chelsea 4, Brighton 2. I was at this one. My God, the weather was horrendous. I'm sure you experienced that yesterday. It didn't feel like a 4-2 game. I thought Brighton were quite unlucky, actually, not to come away with a point. Now, I know Chelsea fans will say they had created a lot of chances, and they did. They absolutely did. But the timings of Brighton's chances, if they had taken them, it could have turned the game on its head. There was a chance for them to go ahead first, and then when Chelsea went 2-1 up, there was an opportunity from Kiko Seika with a diving header to bring it back level immediately. And I just think those kind of moments could have really shifted the game. My other points were passing out from the back, poor, pressing good from both teams. So both teams really struggled with the passing out from the back. Something I asked Shani Bonpastro about, and she was saying how with weather like that, you're kind of forced to play the ball, aren't you? You can't really go long too much or take it off the ground too much. And when it's on the ground a lot, it gives teams the more opportunity to try and disrupt your play and get in between passes and intercept balls. And I think we saw a lot of that. But I do think Brighton can be proud. And Dario said he was very proud of their performance. And they should be. They created a lot of chances. Hannah Hampton pulled off some unbelievable saves, some incredible saves. And then my other point was Chelsea can win in difficult circumstances. And I think, no surprise, but when you add a game back after an international break against a relatively new team with a new manager that are doing exciting things, and you add in the weather to it, to still I could see Sonia was frustrated on the sideline with things not going the way they wanted or passes not going the way they wanted. They're still able to get the win and win ugly. And I think that will be key to them being successful this season. So not
mentality of champions.
Yes, but a very, very exciting game. I really enjoyed it. Maybe the game of the weekend. Our 3 key takeaways, if you can find just 3, from West Ham 5, Palace 2. Number 1, super start from Palace. Better team in the first half. Some good goals, very unlucky not to have scored a third. And Blanchard will be looking back at that, wondering how she missed from 2 yards out and she put it over the bar. Incredible comeback from West Ham. A team who I think have struggled to put games to bed and to take their chances and to score goals. So amazing. And as well, 5 goal scorers will be a huge boost for them.
It's absolutely key. And I think actually the fact that in the last few games they have been scoring goals is a massive boost for them. I think Rhiannon Skinner has said for so long that, they're just waiting for the pieces to click. The stats are showing the right direction, but it's not quite coming for them. And while the performances have at times been good, the results haven't been there. And I do agree with that to some degree as well. But I think getting it over the line, that was really important for their mentality to show that they could do it. And I think she mentioned afterwards that, in key moments in games, they haven't put things to bed. And that's what allowed that kind of Tottenham goal in a couple of games back.
Yeah.
They've conceded late, they've conceded sloppy goals because they haven't been quite mentally aware in the game. Yeah. So this will do them the world of good, and to go up to 8th in the table as well.
Massive.
Yes, it's only 3 points from the bottom, but it gives you a bit of a cushion to allow you to, build from that.
The only learning I will say that they need to take away from this is that a better team would have put that game out of reach by halftime. And the fact that Palace kind of capitulated a little bit, not that it helped, but combine that with West Ham then taking their chances. So it's good for them that they can score the goals, that they can come back in games, but they can't start games like that against teams that are more switched on and more likely to take the chances they create.
I will give a shout out though to Viviane Say, who I thought was absolutely superb. Yeah. Leading, she's a record goal scorer now, but leading from the front with energy and kind of that leadership role that maybe she is really trying to step up into, I think.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to quickly touch on some notable results in the FA Cup third round. There were a number of championship matchups. So Bristol City knocked out Southampton and Durham knocked out Birmingham. Charlton, Newcastle, Sheffield, London City Lionesses, Portsmouth and Sunderland all went through. Blackburn's game was postponed. London Bees beat QPR 6-3 after extra time. Now I need to go back and find out what happened in extra time, because that's crazy. And then, Wolves put 14 past Shrewsbury Town.
Tough day.
yeah, tough day. So the draw for the fourth round is happening this evening, and the WSL teams join the competition, I believe. So make sure you look out for that one. Okay, Champions League. Match day 5 of the Champions League returns this week. Chelsea versus FC Twente on Wednesday, Vålerenga versus Arsenal on Thursday, and Manchester City versus St. Polten on Thursday. So we will be at the Chelsea and City game for this round. Next round we're doing Real Madrid Chelsea, you're doing Barcelona Man City, I'm doing Arsenal Bayern Munich.
Yes.
Got there in the end. So of course all 3 English teams are through, as we know, but 4 games for these 3 teams in the space of about 10 days or so. So I'm expecting some rotation at least for match day 5. They of course want to top the group because you potentially then get maybe a slightly more favourable draw. But there are tougher UWCL fixtures next week, which I've just touched on. So I'd expect a little bit of rotation.
Yeah, you would expect, looking at these fixtures, you would expect not to be a walk in the park because the Champions League is rarely that, but that they should get through.
Yes.
With the maybe a bit of rotation, and they should be able to still get through these games with victories, all 3 of those teams. The fact that Chelsea and City are at home as well is very valuable for them coming into the final weekend of the WSL. A bit probably annoying for Arsenal that they have to travel to Oslo, although they're used to it by now. But yeah, I'm not expecting many surprises, to be honest, in terms of results. I think we'll see maybe more surprises the following week.
Quite possibly. Okay, you are going to tell our lovely viewers and listeners what players stood out for you this week.
So I'm actually going to give a side note. Can I give a side note?
You can.
Because despite the result for Liverpool, I thought Zara Shaw coming into that midfield area, she's obviously just coming back from the Under-17 World Cup. Very, very young player, but one they've got a huge amount of confidence in. And I thought she actually did really, really well in that midfield area, coming into a really tricky situation. So just wanted to give her a shout out because I thought that was pretty cool.
Sure.
But I was going to go with Alessia Russo because I thought she was brilliant for Arsenal against Aston Villa. I think people will think about her brace, and quite rightly so. But I think there was a moment in the first half when Arsenal lost the ball in the midfield and suddenly she was back making the tackle. And I just think that epitomises what Alessia Russo is about. She's all about the goals, don't get me wrong, but she's about that tracking back, and she works so hard for the team, and it often goes, I think, unrecognised or unappreciated. But her goals as well, like the first one, instinctive, and the second one, phenomenal strike in the final 30 seconds of the game. To be that switched on
her left foot as well?
Yeah, that late in the game was really good. That's her 4th in 4 league games. She's in some form at the moment. So
brilliant.
I think, all kudos to her.
Well done. Okay, now something a manager did, maybe a change of formation, maybe a switch up, a tactical thing, whatever it is you might want to highlight.
So I was going to go this week with Tottenham going back to basics. I think we've spoken in a couple of pods recently about how I felt that Robert Villahan was trying to, try too much or change too much or experiment too much. And you saw it against City and Arsenal, and it just didn't work. And I think he went back to basics with this one, putting Beth England up front alongside Martha Thomas. That's their more natural positions, I think. And they just looked a lot more solid in terms of their... They got their creativity back. They got 26 or 24 shots created. And I think their XG was 3.2 or something like that, which was quite high. So, yes, I will give kudos to Robert for going back to basics.
Now, it's time to test your memory because your battery died within about 30 seconds of us pressing record. Can you remember the team of the week? I will help you where I can.
Well, this could be quite fun because the graphic that you're going to put up next to me could be completely different to what I say.
It could be.
But I had Hannah Hampton in goal.
Yes.
And then at right back, I put Ashley Neville. I thought she was brilliant. And then this was the ones I struggled with, but I think I went with Maya Letizier.
Yes.
At right centre back and Alex Greenwood at left centre back.
You did, yeah.
And then at left back, Gabby George, because I think she was superb as well. Then I was going 4-4-2 in this one. So I had Beth Mead on the right. I had Nuskin in the middle. I had Dominique Janssen.
Yeah.
Best game I've seen him play in a Manchester United shirt. And then on the left, who did I have on the left?
Do you want to go front two first?
No. Who did I have on the left?
I can't remember. You can do this. You can do this. What games did
Oh, no, I
There
didn't.
we go.
Yes, I was juggling between Leah Goulton, who I thought had a brilliant game back.
Yes, yeah.
But I went with Viviane Asai.
Okay.
Because I thought she...
But shout out Goulton.
Yeah, but shout out to Goulton. But Asai was brilliant. And then front two, Alessia Rousseau and Gunny Shaw.
Okay, well done. That's
We'll
very
see if
impressive.
that was right.
Well, we will change the graphic if it's not. Do let us know who stood out for you, who would be your team of the week. Love to hear from you. Any other business this week? As you touched on, Renee Slegers will remain at Arsenal until the end of the year, which is no huge surprise, I don't think. She's doing very well, and that consistency will probably help them just carry on through the end of the year. FIFA Pro World 11 has come out, makes for some interesting reading, some key omissions, no Gurma, Fox, no US player really to speak of.
Yeah.
Quite a few English and Spanish in there, which is interesting given they haven't had the best of years, but voted for by players, so interesting. Again, would love to hear your World 11. Let us know who you think should be in there. Congratulations as well to Ellie Roebuck, who made her return after 303 days in Spain. So really wonderful to see her back between the sticks. Love to see it. League Cup, of course, is taking place this week. United are top of Group A with 2 wins from 2. Durham are top of Group B with 2 from 2. West Ham are top of Group C with 2 wins from 2. Brighton are top of Group D, 1 win and 1 draw. And Tottenham are top of Group E with 2 wins from 2. So I think the fixtures that kind of catch the eye are United versus Newcastle, Durham versus Sunderland, and Liverpool versus Everton. So plenty coming up this week. You will not miss any of it if you're following us across all of our platforms at Girls on the Ball and are subscribed wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts. That's everything for today. Loads of goals. I'm out of breath. Have a great week, everybody. And thank you so much for listening. We'll be back very soon.